weather. It's drizzling, that's all they do, forecast bits and bobs of drizzle. And I'm heading to Spalford Warren. I have unfinished business with a moth there. Moth that I'd like to see and didn't see last time when I visited in May. Hopefully we might be lucky tonight, both with the moth and with the weather. June the 11th, and this is Spalford Warren. I'm back here again with some unfinished business between myself and a certain moth. The moth, of course, is the white colon, which failed to put in an appearance when I trapped here towards the end of May. I'm hoping that with ideal conditions, it's quite humid, it's heavily overcast, there is occasional drizzle, that maybe tonight the moth will give itself up to my light. Certainly a promising night in terms of conditions. It's meant to be breezy, but it isn't at the moment. If anything, it's dropped compared to what it was an hour or so ago. And as you can see from the lack of movement to the trees, there's no breeze at all. It's lovely conditions. This is a last minute decision to come out here. I'm good at last minute decisions. Maybe this one will pay off. Well, it's as still as anything. I'm just working out where I'm going to trap. I think that I'm going to trap inside the fence. The cattle appear to have been moved, so it's safe now in terms of personal safety, something you always have to think about if you're trapping out and about in rural England. I've made up my mind, because I think I'm going to trap just here where these two paths sort of diverge. One goes right and one goes left. I think I'm going to put the sheet on there. That's the plan at the moment. And as you can see here at Spalford, there's lots of silver birch and there's lots of oak. There's also plenty of pines too. The ground is incredibly sandy here. It's virtually completely sand, to be honest. Hopefully our quarry for tonight will turn up. Either way, we should get a good range of moths, and hopefully good numbers of moths too. Time to get set up. Well, one thing about the cloudy conditions is that it means that the sky will darken quicker, so light up time will be a little bit earlier than normal. I trapped last time I visited Spalford Warren in May. I trapped in the car park area here, just in the lower left of the screen, and you can see where I'm set up. Actually, further in the reserve, the generator is halfway between where the light is and the back of the car. Well, we're off and running at 21:30. Slowly getting darker. There's a few smaller moths starting to fly now, so it's worth switching the light on, and let's hope for a very pleasant session. Well, I'm hoping that the drizzle holds off. It has just come down a bit for 5 minutes, and I expect that, but they do forecast it for it to become a bit more intermittent and then eventually stop. I remember when Dillis and I came once, we came for Archer's Dart, but we just started up, I think, and then it chucked it down with rain for well over an hour. We were forced to sit in the car, and then it did eventually stop and we set back up again, and we did get Archer's dart. That's a moth for later in the summer to come back for. It's a cracking species. It's absolutely stonking. And so what will we get this evening? Will we get white colon? That's the hoped for species, but there's plenty of other moths here at Spalford. Marbled brown, of course, we caught on May the 20th when we came last time. Whether they're still flying or not, I have no idea. I probably doubt, but we'll just have to see what turns up. Part of the joys of moth trapping. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know whether it's going to stay dry. And at this moment, the drizzle's starting to come down again. This may be a testing battle. 16 centigrade is the current temperature, and it is humid. It's one of those sort of sweaty evenings. And so the temperature is not forecasted to drop much more than it is now, just a couple of degrees. There's just the merest hint of a breeze. We await the first moth to come in. My money would be on common swift, but we'll have to see. Well, remind me next time not to take up gambling in future, because I would have been wrong with my earlier forecast that the first moth into the light would be common swift, and that's where my money would be. And I would have lost my money because although it's a swift, this is a map-wing swift, larger than common swift and marked very, very differently. They are quite variable, but this is a fabulously marked example. Absolutely cracking species, and there's two in. There's another one flying the other side of the light. But a very nice moth to open up this evening's session. Well, this may well turn out to be the commonest species of the night, or maybe the commonest of the micros that have come in. This is green oak Tortrix viridana, and this one is in nice condition, although one wing appears to be damaged already, but certainly in terms of scales it's okay. It's a lovely marked moth, unmistakable in terms of Tortrix moths, but the species it could be mistaken for is cream bordered green pea, which is a macro moth, but yet exactly the same size as this Tortrix. It's very common, will turn up in most gardens, certainly if you're situated or have an oak close by. This is a familiar species to many who trap. So that's green oak Tortrix. Well, a couple of minutes ago I was about to do a entirely different piece to camera, and then a moth came in, not the one that you may be expecting me to be talking about, but this is a blotched emerald. It's an absolute stunning moth, and it's a moth that I've never caught before. And I was just having a walk around the other side of the sheet, saw this fluttering in the grass, and so I potted it up. It's a beauty of a thing. I don't know whether it'll settle down. Well, it will settle down eventually, but it will be going home to be photographed. It's always nice when a species eludes you and then eventually gives itself up at some time. Sometimes it takes years, and in this is one of those instances. What a super moth. I have seen this species once before. It is on the website. This is a beautifully fresh individual. Moth of the night so far. Well, I'm risking this and hoping that it has settled down and nothing's going to come in and wallop it out of the way, but this is that blotched emerald, an absolutely stunning moth. It's very fresh, this one. I've noticed that leading edge of the forewings is like a creamy white, and the whole of the forewings and the hind wings are a lovely rich emerald green, and then there's those sort of light tan blotches, one on each wing. It's a stunning moth, it really is. Very, very nice indeed. Well, it's an interesting session because the majority of the moths that have come in have been micros, and of those micros the majority are tortrix, and two species of tortrix: green oak tortrix, Tortrix viridana, which we had a look at earlier, and Archips xylostiana, and that outnumbers green oak tortrix, and I don't normally say that. In fact, I don't think that I've had so many Archips xylostiana to the light before, not even when Dillis and I used to trap in Sherwood Forest. So that's nice to see. It's nice that there are more micro moths than there are macros. In fact, the macros are very slow to come in, but there is another green beauty which has just come in, and I'm waiting for it to settle down. If it does settle down, and it's scarce silver lines. I think the last time that we trapped here on May the 20th, I was able to show you green silver lines, but this is a more clean cut sort of green moth, quite a bright green too, and a couple of lines across the forewings. A really beautiful moth, and not a moth that I get that often, maybe one or sometimes two records a year, so that's very nice to see. And so the list is steadily developing, but at the moment the pen is being kept occupied by writing down the green oak tortrix and Archips xylostiana. Well, here's a look at that green silver lines. It has settled down now. It just depends whether other moths don't come in and bother it, but you can see what a beauty it is and how clean a moth it is. There's no variation in that green. It's a constant green across the wings, the forewings and the thorax. Hind wings are white, if I remember right, but you can see there's those two completely straight diagonal lines down across each of the forewings. It's a beautiful moth, pretty unmistakable, certainly very different compared to green silver lines, and a nice one to get to. Well, continuing our green theme of the evening, here's another green moth that I haven't shown you so far yet to this year. I think this is a common emerald, very similar to blotched emerald, of which there is a second that has just come in. So like buses, you wait years to see a species, and all of a sudden two come along at the same time. But this is a much more common emerald. You will get this if you're trapping for the first time in your urban garden. This one will turn up. I used to get this a lot when I trapped at home. So nice to see this beautiful sort of dark sage green species in amongst a mass of green oak tortrixes and other species too. There's not that much variety yet this evening. In fact, we're well over 2 hours into the session, and the first brimstone's only just made an appearance. Not even had one fly past, which is what you normally do. Then one of the first species usually out and about flying at dusk. And the catch is dominated by Tortrix and this Archips xylostiana and Tortrix viridana. Lots of those. In terms of other species new for the year, Chrysatutia culmella and Grifola straminella, two grass veneers, the commonest of the grass veneers. And two species worth learning when they turn up, which they invariably will do, because no matter where you trap, you'll get both species. But there's a barred straw in. There's not a lot else that I haven't mentioned. Slow pug. Now that is a good moth, and slightly green element to the wings. That's nice to see, because I don't trap that very often. Had it at Eakring on a number of occasions, and possibly in Sherwood Forest. So that's a nice one to get. But it's just strange that we've had, apart from large yellow wonderwings, not a single noctuid. Certainly not the hoped for one. Anyway, we'll see what transpires. I think it's time I had a cup of tea and a bite of something to eat. And it won't be a moth. It'll be something a little bit more substantial than a moth. But it's a great evening, lovely evening. It's amazing to think that an hour ago I'd not trapped blotched emerald. Now there are 7 around the light and in the vegetation. Absolutely stunning. Quite amazing to me too. But I suppose largely it's due to the fact that I'm not trapped for many years here at Spalford Warren. And a marbled brown has come in, so moths are coming in, some different species starting to turn up now. But the highlight of the night so far is this moth here. What a beautiful moth. Well, just when the idea of me packing up was going through my head, I looked to the side of me against the bag and saw this. And this is another moth that I've never trapped before. I'd only seen once when somebody brought one round for me to photograph for the website. This is a rosy footman. It occurs from time to time in the Trent Valley. This is the first time that I've ever trapped one. What a beautiful moth. It's every bit as beautiful as it appears here. The colour is almost like a salmon pink, dark around the edges of the forewings, and then someone's scribbled on those forewings. I never expected to see this. I thought this may well have been a moth to turn up at Bestwood, and another one's just come in. There's another one underneath where I am. Well, this is fast becoming a fine example of a trapping session where you weren't expecting to come out, but it has paid off. And this moth doesn't look much, but it continues the theme of those moths that Trev's not trapped before. This is an obscure wainscot. It's a wetland species, and although Spalford Warren here is very, very dry and sandy, being in the Trent Valley, I'm not far from wetland habitat. But this was the last species I was expecting, never considered it. And so with this, 2 rosy footmen, blotched emerald, what a night. A fabulous night of moths. Not a huge range of moths, but species are starting to really turn up now. Can't believe it. Well, here's a nice thing. This, of course, is peppered moth. And at one time of day you would get pepper moth like this. This is the normal form, but you would get a melanic form in areas of high pollution, and it was the melanic form which predominated in urban areas. But because the amount of pollution is less now, it's rare, or certainly quite unusual, to see the darker form anymore. I can't remember the last time that I saw it, but it's a beautiful moth, pure white, but peppered or dotted literally with hundreds of black markings. It's a cracking thing. nice to see. Well, it's gone 1 o'clock in the morning. What a session this has been. It's been the strangest of sessions, but I'm going to continue till I've done at least 4 hours, and if I stop any longer, that will be determined by what moths come in the next 20 minutes or so. Very, very strange. Very few species, really, to be honest. We're on to well over 40 species, but I expected more than that. But it's the fact that out of the species that's come in, 3 species that I've never trapped before, and I wouldn't have expected that. The hoped for species, there's no sign of. I think we're looking at next year before having to go again for white colon, but to get 7 blotched emerald now, and then 2 rosy footman, and then obscure wainscot, all species that I've not seen before. That's what makes this hobby so exciting for me. You never know what's going to come in, and you never know when it's going to come in. So, cup of tea time, and then I'll probably think about packing up. But what a night, what a session. Well, it's gone 1:30 in the morning, which means I've been here for 4 hours, longer than I normally trap, but it was worth it, despite not seeming as though it was worth it for much of it. We ended up with some really nice moths, if rather low and disappointing on the number of species. So, time to switch off the light, get packed up and head for home.